All-Stars, it kept the Big Brother stuff going on. So people were like, "Oh, he's still funny. He's not this misogynist guy that like you hate." You know what I mean?
The problem is it gives you this weird. I can't. Danielle and I were trying to discuss it, and it's impossible to discuss. But like, it took me a good. You have to watch the next season, and then you have to see the new version of you.
Closure.
Yeah. When you see the season, and you're like, "That's the person who plays my spot." Then you can watch that season, and then you're like I watched Danielle's season. I was like, "That's my role. Okay, that's the new me. Okay, now I passed it on, and she can deal with it."
Oh, you thought I was you?
Yeah, I was like, now Danielle's got the new she can be that person. Let her like. My boogie was Josh from her season.
Right.
Kiara was Krista. I mean, obviously it's not a perfect mold, but the thing is, when you watch next season and there's a new James and a new Howie and a new Kaser, you're going to be like, this is weird. This is weird as hell.
Because when I watched my season and Allison came, I went, that girl is me. And then she was colder than me. I'm like, good. They'll forget about all the bad stuff I did. Move on.
And also the internet, they will completely forget your existence once the new season starts. You no longer exist to them.
They compare you. They'll compare the new cast to you.
Mm-hmm.
About 2 or 3 weeks. And then...
Well, they'll complain about you, and then with the new cast, they'll complain that the new cast isn't as good as you. And then they do that every season. It does it over and over and over.
Right.
All I ever heard when I got off, not all I ever heard, but all my comparisons were all drawn to you. Like,
I see. That's what Boogie told me too. I see.
No,
that.
I saw it too. When I saw you, I went, I think he's a new Will.
And I'm like, well, I'm sure the guy must have gone through as much hell as I did.
He's a new freaking
But I mean, next
Will.
year there's going to be a new version of you, and you're going to be like,
what the hell?
That's really weird.
I'm so big, but the thing is, by having it 2 years in a row, I am so big brothered out right now.
I bet, man.
It's like,
it's crazy.
Fuck, for the last 9 months, it's James from Big Brother. You know what I mean? It's like...
Well, you guys never ended it because there's always some, like a month or 2, 6 weeks after, and then before All-Stars, that was like 6 to 8 weeks. So all that overlapped in a 9-month period. We only had like really 3 months.
When did they contact you guys in the beginning?
January?
Yeah, you didn't have, because you had the holidays, you forget about a little bit of Big Brother. Boom.
But it was still huge because, like, we had all this, you know, who betrayed who first in our season. All this.
I had the same thing in my season.
All
it still goes. It's not done with her and Marcellus. It still goes on.
Marcellus and I have this thing, and I felt he betrayed me first. I've always felt that, and he made that deal with Lisa in the kitchen, going, "Let's get Jason and Danielle before they get us."
See, then the thing is, it's like with our season, it was completely over and done with. It was like, okay, we all fucked up in our different areas. And then somebody sends me this YouTube link of Howie wanting to nominate me, telling Maggie, week 3, Howie sells out me and Kaser to the woman who eventually won the game, tells her to nominate both of us, gives her like a safe week. Everything that we couldn't figure out that I thought I knew was just confirmed. So I was like, I took a lot of shit from a lot of fucking geeks telling me, oh, James, you were the one that betrayed him, because they all wanted to overlook what their favorite character did.
Sure.
And I was just like fucking livid, and I called Howie a pussy. I just called him out to his face. He wouldn't respond. And now he came on here and admitted, so hope all you people fucking killed yourself over it. But
I'll tell you that story from my season is that Kent came to me and he's like, look, he's like, I hate Krista and I want her out, and he's like, but I also have to put up Chilltown, so I can either put up you and Boogie, or I can put up Krista and Boogie. And he's like, will you not put me up if I put up Boogie and Krista? And I was like, okay. Because I figured at least I had a fighting chance, because we didn't have POV. I was like, then I figured I'd at least have a fighting chance to save Boogie.
Yeah, they didn't have POV.
I was like, Boogie, we gotta fight, you gotta fight, you gotta fight. He refused. He's like, no, I'm not gonna do it against a single mom. And then afterwards, Boogie was like, yeah, you took a deal with Kent and sold me down the road. And I'm like, no, dude, like,
I wanted you to fight and you didn't want to.
Yeah, it's like, you can see the exact same situation 2 different ways. So he was really mad and was like, yeah, you did this deal with Kent. I was like, he was putting both of us up. He told me he's putting both of us up, or you and her. Well, why not you and her, and we'll try to get her out.
That's the thing is, like, when I was my last week, when I got backdoored, the enemy, the nerd herd, went to them and said, hey, this is what we're going to do. If you don't play along, you get put up.
Mm-hmm. And they played along.
It was acceptable then for them to do it. But for me to make deals to try to save me and my girlfriend, it was completely unacceptable.
Right.
Because they had their favorites. They had the people who said they wanted to play it the nice way, and then you had me who said, I'm a
F y'all.
fucking 27-year-old teacher, and I'm gonna come in here and tell y'all to fuck off. You know what I mean?
Well, it's like Marcellus and our situation is like, I never threw him under the bus or anything. I never said nominate Marcellus. But when he talked about me to other house guests, he said she has her own agenda, which doesn't make me look good.
Of course.
But I tell people, and a lot of people don't understand, is the dining room is what you're feeling at that raw emotional time, right?
Yeah. People
So when you look at Marcellus in the dining room with Big Brother 3 DVD, he said, I don't trust her. I don't trust her. I don't trust her. In fact, and there was a case where he said, I don't want her to win the money. Now, this is before I did what I did. But this was been lined up, and then he'll come out of here and go, I trusted her completely.
Right.
But in where you are supposed to be truthful and you're raw and you're emotional, you're saying you don't trust me. And to take it to another step, you say, you don't want me to win the money. But yet, you got mad because I did what I did, whatever the going veto.
Right.
So it doesn't make any sense.
The thing is, people have great plans, but then when it doesn't pan out, it's never their fault.
It's
always somebody else's fault.
And then I got my boy Jason, who I'm totally committed to, saying, I hope Dani wins the money in the diary room. How am I supposed to? That's an easy choice for me.
Sure.
And I made, even though I was in the house, I didn't know what the hell was going on. Didn't know what was going on, but I was going with my gut, my feelings at the time, and I did what I had to do.
As I've said it before, I'll say it again. Your season was robbed. Your season's losing sequester exists, and it's because Roddy and Marcellus have egos that they could not check, and they couldn't admit to that. That's my feelings. I don't care who debates me. It's just my opinion. But they had feelings that they could not. They were outplayed, and they couldn't admit that. Just my feelings.
Right. And my mother said, she said, honey, you made them look like fools.
You're right.
And they couldn't deal with it.
That's your mom's right.
My mom said that. I'm like, she said, no, I'm telling you that's what it was.
What I can't understand is how people like the game of Big Brother for the lack of rules and the lack of any sort of sportsmanship almost, you know what I mean? But then the players that are willing to stretch the truth and do the things that the game is supposed to be comprised of are always like, oh, I don't like the way that person plays.
But there's no rules on how a person plays this game.
You just can't physically harm someone.
You just can't,
If Howie wants to run around here screaming...
You know, my castmates was like...
He can.
Well, they talk about Will said he was going to lie to everybody. Well, do they think that when we were sitting around, when we first introduced, do you think people were waiting for someone to say that? Of course they were. They were waiting for that person to go and say, I'm lying to everybody, and then I would have been out week 1.
Right.
The question is, I never said I wasn't going to lie.
Right. Today Howie's like, I'm safe, right? And I'm like, yeah. And I was completely lying. It's a white lie. I don't want him screaming at everyone in the house. He's going to go home. Let's make it as painless as possible.
Like, I wanted to tell myself, because I told myself, I'm like, you are safe with me. And I thought about, do I tell myself, I'm sorry, I lied to you, but you're going home? No, because he would have went ballistic.
Right.
And Janie didn't even know that Howie and I were voting that way. He kept it a secret from her.
Yeah, with myself, the situation with him, he came to me and goes, you vote what's best for you in the game. I'm like, that's all I needed to know.
I think you were the only person he might have said that to.
He told me, he goes, you vote what's best for you in the game. Because I laid out, I said, this is what I'm dealing with in the game, and I want to talk to you game to game. You were coming after me week 1.
Is everyone taking my words, my strategy? Do what's best for you in the game?
I started that.
I copyrighted that.
Whatever.
On the nomination block. Don't even fucking James Ryan 2006.
But hey guys,
every
I know you're having a huge
nomination
nerd argument, but they told me they're waking us up at 9:30 tomorrow morning. Why in the world would they be doing that?
Nominations?
9:30?
Possibly.
Fuck that. Fuck that. We getting up at 9:30, Kevin? Why would they tell you and not us?
He just said it like in passing. I was like, you've been here forever. He's like, yeah, guess what? I got work to do tonight, and I'm going to wake you up at 9:30 too.
That is